the war between artificial intelligence and curiosity with today's amazing special guest, Jon Bassford. Welcome to the Artificial Intelligence Podcast, where we make AI simple, practical, and accessible for small business owners and leaders. Forget the complicated tech talk or expensive consultants. This is where you'll learn how to implement AI strategies that are easy to understand and can make a big impact for your business. The Artificial Intelligence Podcast is brought to you by Fraction AIO, the trusted partner for AI digital transformation. At Fraction AIO, we help small and medium-sized businesses boost revenue by eliminating time-wasting, non-revenue generating tasks that frustrate your team. With our custom AI bots, tools, and automations, we make it easy to shift your team's focus to the tasks that matter most, driving growth and results. We guide you through a smooth, seamless transition to AI, ensuring you avoid costly mistakes and invest in the tools that truly deliver value. Don't get left behind. Let Fraction AIO help you stay ahead in today's AI-driven world. Learn more and get started at fractionaio.com. Now, Jon, I want to have you on the show today. I'm so fascinated because there's this dichotomy with curiosity and AI, which is that people are super curious about AI. Then they start using it and become less, they almost outsource decision-making or outsource their curiosity. We've reached this time where there's almost no window between wondering about something and knowing the answer. Like anything you want to know the answer to, you can look it up within a matter of seconds with AI. And so I wonder how that's affecting the business world and customer decision-making, all these different changes we're seeing, which is that like you no longer have this ability to educate consumers because they've already self-educated or they can educate on the fly using AI. Like, how do you see that changing the world?
Sure. So as we all know, a lot of the fear mongering out there is AI is going to replace this and that, and people and ideas are coming obsolete. But as someone who uses AI in my daily life, in my business, AI is just a tool, and you got to have the base knowledge, right? You got to know what you're after. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know the right questions to ask. Working with AI is a dialogue. And back to your question about customer engagement is use AI to tap into the brain of your customers. Put a profile in writing, right, with AI of this is the type of customer I'm trying to reach, and this is what I think their pain points are. This is where I think the problems exist, and have a dialogue with AI just as that was your customer. Yeah, your customer is going to be able to get different ideas and strategies from AI and the internet just like you can, but you can really tap into AI to really practice, hone in your pitch, hone in pointing out the pain points you're solving for them and the solution you're bringing.
Now we're going through this cycle where everyone's, I need to use AI, but I'm not sure how to use it. And we're different levels of excitement. And some people are still very much, I don't want to use it. Some people, I want to use it all the time. I want to have AI talk to my customers instead of me. Where do you see the balance? Because my worry is that as we use too much AI, we start to shift and lose authenticity. There's a point where AI, for me, it's like when I use AI to talk to the customer, become the barrier between me and the customer, then it's a problem. Then it's switched from usefulness into the data, like it's now decreasing my authenticity. Whereas like for my favorite use cases, I use AI to sort my emails. So it's 30 years ago when I only have 10 emails to look at a day, not 500. But I still respond to every email personally. But other people go the other way, have AI write all your responses, and now you don't remember what you said. And I feel like that's the danger, is the loss of authenticity, which is, I feel, becoming the only USP we have anymore, because every knowledge is a commodity, marketing methods is a commodity, psychology, all the fancy sales techniques in every sales book are now inside an AI. So the only thing that's different is like truth and reality. Like that's all that's left. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think this is a problem that was existing even before AI came on board as much as it is now, which we just with automation, right? Having a series of texts and emails and posts and everything go out with, and even responding, right? Someone responds back, they get this message without having that AI factor. And again, you lost your authenticity, you lost your connection with your customer then, and then trying to go beyond that and try to outsmart the customer by using AI to pretend that it's, for me, I think it's a balance of using AI, using technology, using automation for the low-hanging fruit, those first initial outreaches, maybe a little bit of vetting to see, is this the right customer? Is this, are our services going to be able to help these individuals? But the minute it gets beyond that kind of initial intake, initial discovery, it's got to switch over to someone who knows your business, knows what you do, and knows how to help that customer.
there was the first promise of AI was like, you could replace different employees with AI. You can replace your sales team, or you can replace your customer service team. And now a lot of leaders are starting to think, how far away from an AI CEO or an AI CTO am I vulnerable to this? And as then you get to the point where suddenly the whole company's AI, there's no real people. Like, I think that's a fear. And I don't know how real it is, but I understand that it exists because of the marketing hype of AI. Because everyone says it, you start to think it's true. For leaders who are thinking about bringing AI into the company, they're like, I want to bring it in, but I don't want to bring it in a way that like threatens me. Like, nobody wants to hire their own replacement. What do you find is the right calibration or approach to bringing in new tools in a way that enhances your position or strengthens your position, as opposed to makes you feel like you're at risk, or that, oh, we don't need you now that we've got your AI replacement?
Yeah, the AI replacement, I'll give a quick story. Again, from even my personal life, I use AI. I trade in stocks and that sort of thing. And I will upload SEC documents and have it analyze it for me because it can read 1,000 pages in 20 seconds, which I can't. But at the same time, when I'm asking AI to analyze that document and what it says in relation to my stocks, it often gets it wrong. There's a stock I'm in that had a reverse split, and AI will give me calculations based upon the pre-reverse split because they didn't analyze the latest value of that stock right then there. So again, I'm sure there's far more intelligent systems that are out there and being built right now. The AI is not there yet. ChatGPT I use every single day, and it's constantly getting something wrong if I'm not paying attention. I think we're years, decades away from this notion that AI can replace our thinking, our human thinking for us. But again, it is a tool. And any tool, you got to find a way to allow that tool to help you be smarter, get things done faster, get things done more efficient, more effectively. That's to me what AI is about, us being able to play with it and learn it, but do that in a way that makes us look better and helps our job security because we're actually able to accomplish so much more in such a quicker amount of time.
So what I want to get into as well is an area of implementation, which is like a lot of people buy the tool, and this is like my biggest pet peeve is they buy a tool and then go, okay, now I bought it. I got to find a way to use it. And what I find, whether I'm working with clients or talking to people, it's always the same thing, which is I got the tool. I'm not sure what to do it for. So I wanted to figure out the problem it should solve and then solve the problem. And operations or systems, or people call them different names, machines, but the idea of having a standardized process of some type. And it's if you have a really well documented process, this happens, then we do this, then this happens, then I can automate, I can accelerate that with AI. If you don't know, like sometimes someone will say, I go, what do you want the output to look like? I'm not sure. Then it's really hard to hit a goal that's invisible. So a lot of companies, when they're thinking about optimization, they're actually jumping past the systems or the operation step and going straight to the AI step, which is first you have to build the car and figure out where it's going. Then you can add the nitrous oxide. Then you can add the accelerant, which is what AI really is. And I think that's the problem, is that when we see all the advertisements in the talk about AI, the way we talk about AI versus what it can actually do is a massive gap. There's a massive gap. No matter what I'm working on, it still requires a massive amount of my input. Even with all these accelerants from AI, I can do things I couldn't do before, but I still have to be there. It still makes mistakes constantly. So I think that it's a really critical component to figure out a system first, almost without AI. Maybe you can have AI help you design a process, but I find that, and there's so many things I'm seeing right now, like everyone transcribes every meeting. I go, what do you do with the transcripts? Nothing. Or you get it to make notes. You send notes to everyone on the team. Does anyone look at it? Of course not. It becomes just a newsletter. So we do all of these things that sound efficient. It's like when people buy books by the foot. It's if you're buying books by the length, you're not reading them. You're just buying them by the size to fill a library, and you're not getting the usefulness. Like a book unread, it doesn't really do it. Being near a book doesn't make you smarter, unfortunately. And in the same way, I find that we have all these processes that we're focusing on have the lowest ROI or the lowest implementation. And what I find, this is what I really want to understand from you, is that like when we try to change human behavior, that's when the odds of success go way down. Like whenever I work with a client, I say, listen, how do you do things right now? I don't want to tell you the AI way. What I want to do is add AI to whatever you're doing, because then it's likely to succeed. But as soon as I say, oh, now, for example, with some transcription software, at the beginning of a meeting, you have to push a button to say start the transcription. And people forget that all the time. Right? That small behavioral change, boom. Or at the end of the meeting, you have to push the make notes button. If you don't push it, the notes are lost. Massive failure. And that's the smallest behavioral change I can think of, is push one extra button to start the meeting. So if we can't get that, so that's what I want to talk about, is like, how can we design systems or have the approach to operations let's look how we're doing it and minimize the amount of change. And then we look at exactly automation first and then AI. But like, we have to see, how are we doing it? How can we do it better? Let's master that before we add an AI, because it just adds in this complexity. I think about the I Love Lucy, where she's making the chocolates and the thing goes faster and faster, so they explode and go everywhere. Now I'm showing my age here, but it doesn't matter if you have a really good conveyor belt if the people can't keep up with it.
Yeah, percent. My career has been in the internal operations side of the business, like the accounting, the HR, cross-departmental functions. And I 100% agree with you. Like, you first have to have the process down. Like, you got to know what accounting is and how it works and what that process is and how it affects you, how it affects your salespeople, how it affects your customer. You have to know, as a business owner, as the manager of that function, how it operates. And then, yes, then you get curious. Okay, these are the processes of accounting. This is how it works in our business. How can we use machine learning tools, AI, to shorten the amount of time we spend in doing those tasks? You're not taking the tasks away entirely. You're just tapping into, okay, I can have a system that reads an invoice, that pull some of that into fields that I need, the company name, the description of the invoice, the date, all that type of stuff. Like, you just saved 15, 30, 45 seconds for every invoice. And if you're a big company, that's a lot of time, right? So you have the process, you know how it works, and you utilize these tools to enhance the productivity of your team by reducing the amount of human time in it, but you're still not removing the human, right? Someone's got to review that to make sure it's right, to make sure there's some nuances that are caught, and even evaluating whether or not that's a bill that should be paid. Is this some kind of crazy invoice that came in from some fraudulent company trying to get $25,000 for free because they think everything might just be automated and pay them, right? So the humans have to stay a part of the process, but you're utilizing these tools to be more efficient and effective in how you do that.
Yeah, I love that you brought up that too much automation can be a dangerous thing, especially when it comes to like automatic payments or not paying attention, because one of the dangers I see, and we see this all the time, which is where people, the AI did a good 9 times, so the 10th time they don't check it. And that's when the mistake happens. It's the same kind of problem with employees. If you're not watching, there's this big shift now for everyone to work from home. And it's like, here's the simplest way to know you have a problem. Okay. When you work from home, 7 hours and 50 minutes, you just round it up to 8 hours, right? No, you start rounding, then 7.5 hours becomes 8, then 7 becomes 8. If no one's checking, eventually 4 becomes 8, then 2 becomes 8, then you take a day off and no one notices. And that's the same thing when you take your eyes off. Yeah. And that's what happens with AI. People go, it's always right. Why would I check it this time? And that's when you get like the messed up tweet. Now you have to go to a whole thing, or you publish a paper that has like a non-fact in it. And part of it to me as well is that, like, when you hire a new employee, you have to tell them, here's the process, here's the goal, here's what I look at to see if you're doing a good job. If I'm working for you and I don't know good versus bad job, I'm just doing stuff, I can't optimize. I can never self-optimize. I can't know if I'm doing good or bad. I live in a constant state of fear. Am I going to get fired? I don't know if I'm going to do a job, because we need some type of reference. It's if you say to me, I want 40 social media posts a week. If I finish 30, I know I've under-delivered. I finished 41. I know I've over-delivered. But if you say, just do social media, and I go, what does that mean? You go, whatever you think it means. It's very hard to succeed. And I think we're starting to do that with AI, which is we go, oh, AI take care of social media. But we don't say what that means or how our social media is different. Like, your social media is very different than mine. You and I don't have the same personality. We don't have the exact same customer base. And without saying, sometimes we even go give AI tasks. We don't even say who we are. And not even giving it a single reference point. I think that's where we're starting to see some of these big challenges, why companies are getting like low results, because we don't design a process first, then we don't put in place with the AI, here's the measurement of success, here's good versus bad. And then people start to get lazy. And we've all done it, right? We go, it's probably fine. whether it's with an employee or whatever. My frustration as a boss is like when I had a system where I had to check everyone's screenshots, like I'm not doing that. Like, it's not, I've changed my system now to where it's all, I'm like, let's just do project based or like task based. I don't want to measure your hours. I don't want to check screenshots because that's inconvenient to me. So I've learned from that. But when we have these things, we start to leave in, and what can happen is we have all these little holes in the Swiss cheese and then they line up, which is where, oh, we didn't perfectly optimize the plan. And then now we've got a person who's not paying attention and there's not really measuring a goal. Suddenly that's when something bad gets all the way through quality control.
Yeah. I'll use another TV reference that will date me as well. Romco food dehydrator. We grew up on those infomercials where the slogan was set it and forget it. And that's how people use technology today. And the truth is that the more complex this gets, looking at Zapier, like I've done some marketing campaigns for my business that, there's 4 or 5 zaps, right? From this triggering all the way to the inflow. Every one of those steps is a possibility for it breaking. We have APIs now for every software. Every software integrates and connects. And every time you have a connection in a process, there's the possibility of that breaking that much more. And so you're right. We get to this complacency where we're using technology, we're using AI, we're using all these tools. And so we set it and forget it. That's the absolute wrong thing to do. Sending out this day and age, sending out a blast email or newsletter and it says, hi, first name in brackets. Like that used to be a human error thing because someone just didn't change something but now it's becoming, we use all these connections, we use all these tools, and we don't take the time to run a quick little test to every time we're doing something major or some outputs happening or check it periodically. And we miss these points. And when you call someone by the wrong name or don't have their name in it or misdescribe their company because you pulled it from LinkedIn and they don't even work there anymore and it's not really what they do. All of these components, when you miss those, you've lost that customer. You've lost them probably right away. They might give you a little bit of a second chance, but making sure that your technology is working correctly, the data you're using is correct, is highly important to make sure you're delivering to the end customer.
So you brought up something there that I think is so critical, and this is a really good thing to focus on, which is that the more complex the system is, the more opportunities it has to break down. And AI is super complex. The thing about AI, what makes it special is that you can ask it the same question 10 times and get 10 slightly different answers. And that means you've introduced what I call the uncontrollable variable, which is that sometimes it's going to do what you didn't think it's going to do. So you have the only way to control for that is have quality control. Like with my team, I was talking about having them create more social media with AI. I was like, here's the step. Everything has to be manually approved by me before it goes out the door, no matter what. That's a critical step for me. And that might slow things down sometimes. So I have to double check it because if people think it was posted by me, then it was posted by me. Like when celebrities get in trouble for a Twitter post, it was probably their high school friend. It's probably someone from their entourage. Like in the morning, you throw your phone to someone and you say, you're in charge of Twitter today. It's so unlikely that the person's actually doing their own tweeting, right? They're doing whatever their life is. Someone else does it. But it doesn't matter. You still get, the results are still on you. You're still responsible. As we build these more complex systems, they require more oversight, not less. And I think this is a really critical element, which is that even if you're bringing AI into the C-suite, you still have to have oversight. You have to move into management of that AI, which is watching its output. Maybe it can do things faster. And I love that you brought up the reverse split, because that's like a notorious thing that AIs don't understand for some reason. That's a stock story I've heard a couple of times. It's for some reason that really confuses AIs. These little things that you understand and on paper the AI should understand. And I have things all the time. I'm working with an AI. It gets it wrong. And I go, what are you talking about? And it goes, oh, you're so right. Thanks for pointing it out to me. I'm like, you should have. I was fighting with an AI. I get fights with AI all the time. And I was saying, it was like, oh, your thing is really weird. I go, you wrote that. Look up in the conversation. That's your thing. Let's not start playing that game. If this is broken, you broke it, not me. And it goes, oh, you're right. I forgot to follow our system. I forgot to start our process. I often have to start a prompt with, here's our set of rules that we always follow so that it doesn't forget it. And that's the thing. It's like, there's a lot of benefit, but complicated systems introduce more possibilities for surprises. And so that's why exactly, I don't think that employees are in danger of losing their jobs, even in leadership. And I think that it's really important to just see it as another tool. Like every time we have this innovation, oh, we have calculators. Why do we need accountants? Now we have spreadsheets. Why do we need accountants? And we have the ability for an AI to look at a contract. Why do we need a lawyer? And we have certainly AI can help you replace the dumb questions. Like, what does this word mean? Great for that. Or explain this phrase. I use AI with contracts all the time. But there's a huge difference between that and my dad, who's been a lawyer for 50 years running a contract. Like AI is not there yet. And there's nuance and there's subtleties for every different market. And because AI it knows a little bit about everything, like a jack of all trades. So you have more possibility for these little things slipping through the cracks. You still need the expert who goes, wait a minute. And that's why I think exactly that it's just another tool that's very exciting, but eventually we'll realize that it's just a tool. It's not sentient and it's not even close to sentient, that it's very exciting. And people tell all these stories about how it's going to change your life, but it's just a little bit better word processor. It's just a little bit better than a stock photo site for generating images. Like it's not that much of a difference. It can be very useful, but it's still, you have to have the process in place first. You have to know what you want to do. You have to know what the output looks like, and then you can build something. But a lot of the things that I build could have been built 5 or 10 years ago. Like the technology existed then. So little of what we think is AI actually is AI.
Yeah. I've talked to some tech people too. What you're really describing is an AI is machine learning, which has been around for 50 years. You have to train AI. You can train AI. And back to your question or statement about double checking everything, I would say look at it as the employee that you have that's a hard worker, but bless their heart type person. They just not the smartest, but they're good to have around. You would never take something they delivered to you and just go run with it. You wouldn't go publish it. You would review it. You would check it. You got to treat AI the same way as that person who's a hard worker and it can do a lot of tasks, but deep down that they're not always going to get it. And so you have to check up on them. And I actually saw a video this past weekend, I think, of something that I'm going to start implementing because I have not been doing it, is having a PDF that describes my business. So anytime when I'm working on business development, a proposal, marketing, content for social media, whatever it is, I first upload this document and it gives me as my persona I want to have, my language, how I want to be presented, what my company does, what the value points are. Start with that and say, okay, analyze this. Let me know you're done. Don't do anything yet. And then go to your question. So it helps that precursor. I've been working on 2 assessments on curiosity, curious leader assessment and curious culture assessment. And before I start having them help me with formulating questions and analyzing the questions I've come up with, I say, okay, put your psychometric hat on. I want you to analyze these as a psychometrician to analyze, are these the best questions to get out these archetypes and to not overlap with other archetypes? And again, it's got to be a dialogue. You got to play with it. You got to check it. You got to call it out when it says something completely off base. You're like, that is the exact opposite we just told me 5 minutes ago. What changed? Right? And have that conversation, have that dialogue. But at the end of the day, you have to be the person who's going to own this and make sure that the output that you're trying to get to is really there.
Yeah, I think that's really critical, which is that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, like anything else. Like longer prompts get longer results. Telling it who you are gets better results. And sometimes when you got those corners, when you forget to set that baseline, and I think of AI like a genius with memento. Like they have that they keep forgetting what you were talking about, which is very annoying, but they're an expert, but they're like, oh, I don't remember how I learned this. Like they're a master chef, but they don't know how they learned to cook. And so they're constantly forgetting like what you ordered. And so you get something really good, but it's not always what you meant for. And that's why we have to exactly add in anchoring, add in longer prompting, start to add in these training elements, because you can bring in a really great tool, but if you don't teach everyone how to use it, you're going to get moderate results. And I think that's part of what's happening with AI as well. Like we talked about it, in the middle of the process is someone's using it, but they're not very good at it, but it's okay. And that's good enough. And that's the most dangerous word in business, I think, is that's good enough. It's good enough to send out the door, but if you were buying, it would be good enough. Not really. And I think that's really critical. Now, this has really been an amazing discussion. I really appreciate so much of your time, Jon. For people who are thinking, I do want to learn more about curiosity. I want to learn more about what you're doing. I want to think more about this part of my operations. Some of the amazing things you're doing as a speaker and a consultant. Where can people find you and see what you're doing online? That's just so fascinating.
Sure. I'll give you two websites. My consulting website is consulting company is Lateral Solutions, and the website is think-lateral.com. And then my personal brand site is Jon Bassford, Jon, and then bassfishfordcar.com. Those are the two best ways to see what we're up to. And as I mentioned, we are going to be rolling out some curious leader and curious culture assessments probably here in the next few days here from when we're shooting this. So by the time this goes live, it should be up and running.
Amazing. I'll put the links in the show notes for everyone watching the videos. It's right below the video. Thank you so much for being here, Jon, for an amazing episode of the Artificial Intelligence Podcast. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Artificial Intelligence Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. We'll be back next Monday with more tips and strategies on how to leverage AI to grow your business and achieve better results. In the meantime, if you're curious about how AI can boost your business's revenue, head over to artificialintelligencepod.com/calculator. Use our AI revenue calculator to discover the potential impact AI can have on your bottom line. It's quick, easy, and might just change the way you think about your business. While you're there, catch up on past episodes, leave a review, and check out our socials.